Do you feel like you've lost your connection to something greater, but you can't remember when it happened? Maybe it started the day you chose scrolling over silence, or when you ignored your intuition because a notification seemed more urgent. It didn't happen all at once. It was slow, silent. They didn't have to destroy your spirituality. They only had to make you look everywhere but within. Every story, every like, every short clip seems harmless. But together, they create a mental storm that pulls you away from your center. The voice of your soul becomes a whisper, inner peace turns to anxiety, and your presence dissolves in a flood of endless stimulation. Technology isn't evil on its own, but it's been designed to keep you unconscious, to hold your attention just long enough for you to forget who you are. Forget that you are a spiritual being with intuition, purpose, and creative power. You start the day checking your phone and end it exhausted. Not physically, but energetically. Disconnected from the divine that lives within you. This video isn't a critique of technology. It's a mirror. A gentle invitation to notice what's happening, not out there, but inside of you. Because while they keep you distracted, you forget that you already are everything you're looking for. Distraction has become an industry, and you are the product. Every second of your attention has value. Companies, algorithms, and platforms are fighting to keep you connected, not with your soul, but with the next notification. And the further you get from yourself, the easier it is to manipulate you, sell to you, control you. The system doesn't want you connected to the divine, because a connected, centered, awakened person doesn't consume the same way. They don't need to fill the void with things because they're already full of presence. So, to keep the system running, they must keep you needy. Needy for stimulation, needy for validation, needy for answers outside of yourself. They taught you to search for God in temples, in rules, in gurus, but they ignored the most powerful temple, you. And now they do the same with technology. They label AI as a threat, when the real danger is using it unconsciously. Technology could be a bridge to awakening, but it's being used as a veil that hides your essence, your emotions, your connection to the present moment. They don't have to take anything from you, they just have to keep you busy all the time. You think you're in control, choosing what you watch, who you talk to, what you consume. But the truth is, most of your choices don't come from your essence. They come from an algorithm. You don't feel boredom anymore because you've been trained to run from silence. You don't look within because you've been conditioned to look at screens. And when you finally get a moment of stillness, you feel anxious, empty, uncomfortable. That's the symptom of disconnection. The absence of noise should be sacred, but today it's treated like a threat. You feel the need to always be doing something, replying, producing, posting, but all of that is just noise. Noise that pulls you away from the only thing that can truly heal you, your own presence. Modern life replaced contemplation with performance, and the soul can't breathe when everything becomes content. You don't need more stimulation. You need silence. You need to learn to be with yourself, no distractions, no rush, no need to prove anything, because in that silence, the divine whispers, and the constantly distracted never hear it. We live in the age of reactivity. You wake up, and you're already responding to alarms, to messages, to whatever appears on your feed. And before you know it, you've spent the whole day reacting to whatever the world throws at you, without ever asking what you truly want to feel, do, or create. And that's how intuition dies. It doesn't scream, it just goes quiet, because you're not listening. Technology keeps you connected to everything, except yourself. You're always available to the world, but unavailable to what your soul wants to reveal. This subtle disconnection pushes you away from the divine, not because God moved away, but because you moved away from yourself. Intuition is the language of the soul, and it doesn't compete with noise. It speaks in silence, in stillness, in the pause when you return to yourself. But if you never stop, if you live in constant alert mode, how can you expect to hear something that speaks in a softer frequency? Reactivity traps you in a mechanical now. Intuition frees you into a conscious now. And the first step to reconnect with the divine is to learn how to listen again, to hear what comes from within. There's a big difference between pleasure and connection. But in the digital age, that line has been blurred. Every like, every notification, every new piece of content triggers a dopamine hit. You feel good for a moment, but it's temporary. It comes fast and disappears just as quickly, so you crave more. This cycle builds dependence. You begin to confuse stimulation with happiness, reward with meaning, but deep down, you still feel empty. Dopamine isn't the enemy. The problem is what it replaced. The joy of deep silence, the connection to the now, the feeling of being truly present with yourself. Spirituality doesn't offer dopamine, it offers depth. But the modern world trained us to chase spikes, not roots. And the more you feed on artificial stimulation, the harder it is to sense the subtle signs of the divine. Digital addiction isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It pulls you away from your truth, your balance, your capacity to feel beyond the surface. Technology was designed to give you quick pleasure, but connection to the divine requires presence, awareness, and the courage to choose not what's easy, but what's real. We live in the age of information. Everything is within reach: books, videos, courses, gurus, and yet we've never felt so lost, not because of a lack of content, but because of too much. An overloaded mind doesn't awaken. It drowns and trades wisdom for noise. You think you're evolving because you consume a lot. But consuming isn't the same as integrating. Learning isn't the same as living. And knowing isn't the same as feeling. Technology gave us access to everything, but pulled us away from what matters most: the living experience of the soul, which only happens when you slow down. Today, you can know everything about spirituality and still never have felt God, because connection doesn't happen in the mind. It happens in the heart, in presence, in the moment you choose to go silent and simply be. They want you to keep searching, scrolling, collecting information, because as long as you're distracted, you won't access the wisdom already within you. The soul doesn't need more information. It needs space to rise. We live in a time where everything must be fast, visible, and validated. If you don't share it, it feels like it didn't happen. If you don't produce, it feels like you don't matter. If you stay silent, it feels like you're irrelevant. Modern life started to reward noise, likes, comments, social proof. Meanwhile, silence, contemplation, and depth have become a joke. The sacred is ridiculed, simplicity is ignored, spirituality is dismissed as too mystical. But the divine doesn't shout. The divine whispers. And that's why most people never hear it, because they're too busy trying to be seen. Instead of simply being, the soul doesn't need a stage. It needs space. The spirit doesn't need applause. It needs truth. If you feel out of place in this world of appearances, maybe it's because your essence wasn't made to fit in. It was made to awaken. But awakening takes courage. Courage to be still when the world is loud. Courage to slow down when everything speeds up. Courage to feel when everyone else is running from themselves. Technology isn't the villain, it's just a tool. And every tool holds the power of the intention behind it. You can use your phone to escape yourself, or to find yourself. You can drown in endless distractions, or access knowledge that expands your consciousness. You can get lost in the noise, or use the digital world as a bridge to the subtle. It all depends on presence, on intention, on awareness. The same social media that traps you might also be where you find the message that awakens you. The same algorithm that keeps you looping in entertainment could lead you to a video that shifts your perception. Nothing is all light or shadow. The difference lies in how you choose to relate to it. The real question isn't, is technology pulling me away from the divine? It's, am I using technology consciously, or am I just being used by it? Because when you take back control, when you return to your center, when you choose to use the digital as a mirror, not an escape, technology transforms. It stops being a prison and becomes a path. You don't have to give everything up and live off the grid to reconnect with the divine. You don't need to throw your phone away, abandon technology, or disappear from social media. The spirituality of this new era doesn't require escape. It requires presence. It all starts with small but conscious choices. Before you open your phone, breathe. Before you click, ask yourself, does this uplift me or drain me? Before you react, observe. Before you consume, pause for a few seconds. These small pauses begin to create space. And where there is space, there is awareness. And where there is awareness, the divine can enter. You weren't made to live in a constant state of alert. You were made to feel, to perceive, to create. And none of that happens when you're running on autopilot. The return to your essence doesn't begin with massive changes. It begins when you remember you have a choice. Because each time you choose to reconnect, even if it's just for 1 minute, you break the cycle of distraction. Technology won't slow down for you, but you can slow down within it. And that is the beginning of freedom. There's an invisible cost to living disconnected, and it doesn't show up all at once. It appears as constant fatigue, as a lack of joy, as a quiet sense of being far from yourself. Every time you give in to unconscious distraction, you move away, not just from your mind, but from your body and your soul. You begin living only from the neck up, mentally rushed, physically drained, spiritually absent. But the soul needs the body to express itself. Intuition speaks through the senses. Presence only anchors when you fully inhabit the now, through your body, your breath, your open heart. 2. Much mental and visual stimulation drains your life energy. And without energy, you don't feel. And if you don't feel, you disconnect. The return to the divine begins in the body. It begins when you allow your gaze to soften, your shoulders to relax, your breath to deepen, and your emotions to flow again. You can't reach the subtle if you're trapped in the superficial. The divine is calling you, but it only responds to the vibration of those who choose to inhabit their own temple, the body, the presence, the now. Maybe you're hearing all this and thinking, I disconnect all the time, I'm always tired, I get lost in my phone, is it too late? No, it's never too late. The divine doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for presence. You don't need to meditate for hours, live off the grid, or swear off technology forever. You just need to remember yourself every time you forget and return. Return to the now, return to your body, return to silence. Return to feeling. Yes, you'll get distracted. You'll fall into autopilot. You'll scroll mindlessly. But the difference is in choosing to come back consciously. Spirituality isn't about never disconnecting. It's about developing the ability to return, to notice when you've drifted and to choose to reconnect. The divine doesn't judge you for getting lost. The divine waits for you, and each time you return, the connection grows deeper. Awakening isn't a destination. It's a constant reminder. You are here, and that alone is sacred. You can keep living like everyone else, waking up in a rush, going to bed disconnected, spending hours online and still feeling lost. Or you can pause, breathe, and make the choice few dare to make, to return to yourself. You don't have to change the world. You just have to remember who you are within it. And now that you've come this far, don't ignore this moment, because if something in this video stirred your soul, it wasn't random, it was truth calling you back. Comment below, "I choose to awaken." Subscribe, because the next videos will show you how to use technology for your spiritual evolution. And if you know someone who's still asleep, share this video. You could be their turning point.